Hi everyone.
Hi guys.
Lovely to see you. Today is a very special day because
It's always special when we're
here. This is special in itself. Whenever we smell certain perfumes and certain perfumers' works that we have a love for, that's always a special. For me, a few, the Bortnikov's Arige, Amouage, Francesca Bianchi, Sarah McCartney, any new stuff that's coming out, we love. You might guess by the exclusion of one name who this might be, but who do we have, Dan?
So Prin Lomros, whose fragrances, if you've seen, I'll put a link to some of our previous videos, we've really fallen in love with a lot of his fragrances. Things like, if you ever see our kind of top 10s, you will see some of Prin's fragrances crop up again and again. Certainly Mora is one that we both really love. Turkish leather was the first love for me. Interestingly, some of his new releases, or newish, recent, kind of from last year, I've really fallen for as well. Titular, which is his Prissana line, which is this Thai oud and just general magic sexiness, is stunning. So we're talking about, now with Prin, it's slightly difficult to keep track of what.
He's getting busier, isn't he?
Yeah. So initially he had Prin with a Y, that house. That's now no more. So we have Prin with an I,
which is how he spells his name anyway.
He also has Prissana, and he has Strangers. So Strangers are slightly cheaper fragrances. Aren't they?
They're more approachable, sort of.
Although
then you have Sombre when you think.
Well, they tend to be a bit more playful, a bit more fun.
That's it. Playful is the word.
I think he said it's called Strangers because the style is a stranger to him. So Prin has sent us this discovery set. I tore it open. I didn't actually tear this open myself. The border police tore this open to check my package and open everything just to check.
So it's possible that the first person to smell your perfume was a spaniel. Or a Springer Spaniel. That's quite worrying.
So he sent us the sample pack for his new discovery set for his new releases. He described them as all quite dark and animalic, which obviously
we hate that.
Not a freshie in sight. So there was another, talking about his recent releases, which I've really enjoyed. Just before I smelt these, I reminded myself of Mriga. Which came out I bought it really early this year, kind of January.
Within a week or two of it coming out, wasn't it?
And we were just talking about this before. For me, it's the best synthetic deer musk fragrance I've ever smelt. If you've perhaps smelt Siberian musk or even Siberian summer by Arija Dore, like that, or perhaps you didn't like the idea of it being real musk, I think Mriga is the best. I've never smelled a synthetic,
give it a try.
which has got as close. It's really magical stuff. It's this kind of deep, complex, animalic fougere.
And again, it transports you away in an instant. You don't have to do any work. It's like bam, opulent, far-flung lands. It's stunning.
So Prin has got these new releases. He's also got new releases from Strangers. He is releasing a lot of fragrances at the moment.
Yeah, he's a busy boy, isn't he?
There's a lot coming out. I say he's got the 3 houses, and I think I'm going to start by saying, when Prin is at his best, there's hardly a perfumer in the world whose work I prefer. For me, I'm not sure all 5 of these fragrances we're going to talk about are Prin at his absolute best. For my taste, they're a little bit up and down. And so
I can agree with you. I mean, I've just smelled these today, and there's a mixture. There are things which I think are amazing, and there are things which are just like, okay, yeah, that's nice. You should always remember that this is prefaced by saying, because it's Prin,
we are expecting not just good things. We're expecting pretty magical things.
Prin at his most average is like head and shoulders above so many perfumers out there in the game. So none of this is ever personal.
So let's get stuck in. So the first one is Arsalan. I don't know really how you pronounce that. What I quite like about Prin is, like most great houses, everything is priced slightly differently based on ingredients.
That's really important.
These are, but they are all extra strength. So this is Arsalan. I've actually still got some on my hand, but I'm going to spray it again just to get the top notes again. This is $190 for 30 ml. We did smell this.
We tried it, haven't we? See, that is instant Pryn.
This is,
isn't it?
This is a wow. So this is based on the heroic legend of Arsalan. Arsalan is Arabic for lion. I don't really know Arsalan how you pronounce it.
Arsalan. But you need to do it sort of shouting across the market square. I can say this as I'm an Arab.
He's as Egyptian.
I'm not being racist.
This
that's so good.
Is Pryn working magic.
I'm getting much bigger woodsy stuff going on than I did on skin even.
This is, I've got a kind of,
God.
From 4 hours ago also here. So this is all about oud. So he released Titular, which I mentioned a moment ago, which is about Thai oud. This is even more, I would say possibly his most oud-centric fragrance he's released so far. And it is gorgeous. It is
comforting as well.
It's comforting, it's luxurious, it's rich tropical flowers, sandalwood and oud, and it just it automatically feels luxurious. It kind of feels like you miss the only top notes you get are a bit of a twang, a hint of kind of funky.
It's hard to place any sort of immediate top notes. It feels like we're straight into the mid.
You're just interesting. I mean,
I feel slightly guilty smelling it. It feels very naughty. It's
this
quite
smells.
Sensual.
It's so good. This is really one of his best, I would say.
What's amazing for me is that I'm not hit across the face with the funk, but somehow it's still huge funk. I don't know how to explain it. Like it's funky, but it doesn't stink.
On skin,
it's like beautiful funk.
On skin, even after about 4 hours, there's still a bit of a funky twang. So it's got some Cambodian and then some Trat Thai oud in it. So I don't know if maybe a little bit more of the funk is from the Cambodian, whereas the sweet kind of richness is from the Trat.
Yeah.
There's those thick, rich florals, you know, kind of champaca and jasmine.
And they're quite spicy as well, the more I smoke.
I feel that there's a lot of spice going on here as well. I think a little bit of Garden of Pleasures by TR and PJ and Rantol, and that same feeling of being in a night garden.
Yeah. I mean, I said it at the beginning, but I love the fact that is instantly Prin Lomros to me. I smell that, and I think that can only be one person.
And what you mean by that is exotic, complex, rich, opulent.
Yeah, very fearless, but very not done on the hoof, and not done in that slightly let's throw everything together, and it might have some rough edges, but it's going to be exciting. This is beautifully elegant, despite being so daring and fearless at the same time.
It's if anything, sometimes with
classy.
Sometimes with Pryn fragrances, you are aware that there's loads and loads of things going on. This actually, it's perhaps a bit more homogenous than some of them. I just feel like I'm in like the Shalimar Gardens on a late summer's evening, and it's warm, and there's that heady feeling of flowers and sandalwood and other precious woods.
Yeah, it has a lot of memory built into it. Like I totally picture that, and I could wear this quite happily on a hot day, under a sort of a parasol, and this would smell like all the memories of the things I'd got up to during the day, and possibly the week before. And there's a lot of sort of. It smells like we're in a dry down or something.
Yeah, so this is going back to the kind of the 4 hours. We're still. It's still the oud, which is the main player. It's thick, it's dark, it's rich, it's heavy. It's not. Despite that, I wouldn't say this is a huge fragrance. I think it's.
No.
In terms of performance, it's perfectly adequate. It's not a light fragrance, but it's not a slap you round the face kind of fragrance.
It's like a very, very well behaved extrait in that it's richer, it's denser, but it's kind of slightly like a guilty pleasure. Yeah. Like I wouldn't wear this just out and about. I would wear this for myself. Yeah. To sit and envelop and smell all day long. Yeah. It's for me it's the kind of perfume that I want to keep to myself.
I mean, I would say in our previous video we talked about Strange Love fragrances, which are $800 fragrances, which lavishly imbued with pure oud. It says This feels far more oud-centric and far more oud-heavy than any of those fragrances.
And it doesn't feel like any less quality or blend. I mean, I'm sure these ingredients in here are not the same level of expense that are in the Strangelove, because that's just economics. I don't think that can necessarily be the case, although who knows. But the way, I mean, whatever's happened, the way they've been treated in the hands of a master like Pryn, I would happily pay more than the retail price for this. I mean, I wouldn't, if that would be mental.
That was stupid.
But if you said this cost another 50 quid on top, I'd say, yeah, that's fair.
That.
Beautiful. I really like that, mate.
Next, something quite different.
What was that?
Nocturnal Poetry.
Got to get to sleep. Got to get to sleep.
So
haven't heard a peep. I was thinking of Nocturnal Poem. I would make up on the spot.
We've tried all of these a bit before, haven't we? And had a bit of a test.
But we were having lunch before, and so I sometimes feel that in that environment of beer and salmon and kebab, it's not ideal.
Who says a nightmare needs to be a bad experience? So really this is quite a. This is possibly the most animalic of these. It's got quite a big animalic twang, and I almost wonder his fragrance, Sombre, which is for strangers, which we did a video with him, and he hated. Even he doesn't like that fragrance.
He ran away. He literally ran over there because he was so repulsed.
I wonder if this has got a hint of that, but in a much more refined and elegant and wearable way. It's interesting. It's
very wearable.
Yeah. When we were talking about this earlier, you kept alluding to Kuros.
Yeah.
And a relationship to that.
I mean, I'm sure it's just my imagination, but this slightly kind of pissy, woodsy, animalic.
But it's not just pissy. It's not just animalic.
It's a facet of
there's a lovely kind of bitter, dark woodiness. In the same way you get that from Kuros as well. And I get the real sense
very beautiful.
of dark forest.
Yeah.
Of dark. It feels slightly dark and slightly dangerous.
Also very dried out old bark in the air.
Yeah. Like an old barn late at night.
I prefer that even more than I did earlier. Actually.
Yeah, it is really good. There's a nice balance of bitterness, and there's a kind of tobacco-y vibe.
Yeah, like a blonde tobacco maybe.
There's a lovely balance.
Quite light, fresh tobacco.
Yeah. There's a lovely balance of sweet and bitter.
A little bit of a turpentine aspect as well that I love in some things. So that kind of, or that white, or that gloss paint thing. I always smell it and I never know what it is. Maybe, is that an oud? Is that a...
Not sure.
Is that like a really medicinal lean oud running through it?
Could be. What I have to say about this is when I wore it on skin, it's quite big when I first put it on, reasonably big now. After about 3 hours, or a little bit more than 3 hours, there really wasn't much left in terms of scent. It went really, really close. I really couldn't get that much, and
that's a shame.
And I'm not someone, if you watch the channel, we're not obsessed with performance. We often don't mention performance. We only really mention it if we think it's mentionable, i.e. it's particularly good or particularly bad. And this, I just felt, this is a $190 fragrance. And the 2 times I've worn it on skin, I couldn't really get much after 3 hours at all.
But is it one of those cases that it needs time to? Is it one of these things that the samples are quite fresh off the? I don't know. I mean, I smell it on here, and I imagine that it's the kind of smell I would want to have a full day's wearing out of. I would want to have a journey. I think these perfumes are not 15 minutes and wham bam, thank you, man. They'd require a journey, and if this thing disappeared after a few hours without really doing all of its unfolding all of its facets, I would be quite frustrated by that.
I think that's what. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what I experienced. It feels like it's going to take you on a real journey, and I felt that the journey was a bit.
It's like when you realise that the mini-series you've been watching, this is the last episode.
Yeah,
and
there was only 8 and you thought
it was
12, yeah.
Oh, and you've got to wrap everything up in the last 10 minutes. That really bugs me.
Which is a shame, because I find, all the things we've described, it's really interesting and promising and enjoyable.
Beautiful, yeah.
I just want more. I want more. Not everything needs to be beast mode, but I want a bit more.
And I have to say, I don't know what this is actually like to wear properly, but I would want a little bit more projection on this because it is so beautiful.
I don't know, when I wore it at home, like my wife noticed it, like from the other.
Oh, good. Well, so, okay,
she definitely. I don't.
As I say,
initially, I think there is protection. Initially, when I wore it, I thought, well, this is quite big and exciting, and there's a lot going on. It just didn't quite take me on the full journey.
Yeah.
Anyway,
really beautiful. I do like it.
Let's go something completely different. This is Homa, which is Sanskrit.
Oh. Sorry, Simpsons reference.
Sanskrit for a sacred Hindu fire ritual.
What is a fire ritual? I've never really understood.
I guess it's where you're burning something.
You burn something, like offer it to the gods, like a goat or something.
If you can see this, if I were to describe what colour Pryn colour fragrances are, it's this. It's this dark green. And when I see that colour from a Pryn fragrance,
we know we're in for a treat, don't we?
I get excited.
Thank you, mate.
This one is really Pryn. It is,
isn't it?
This is what we want. This is rich,
I do enjoy that.
Complex. It's got his goat hair tincture, which he's used in a few fragrances before.
It's very also distinctive, isn't it, that goat hair thing?
There's also there's so much spice, and I really absolutely get this sense of some kind of bonfire with lots of things burning on it.
A bit more of that funky cheese coming through as well.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of funk.
Just poking its head.
There's civet in here as well. I think there's some oud in here. This is deep, dark, complex.
My nose wasn't in a good place earlier.
There's, and I can imagine we're in the middle of some kind of forest with things being thrown in the fire. Oh, this is
probably that goat. We've had the tincture, now let's have a curry.
There's also there's an amazing incense note which he uses. What's the one from the first selection we tried? The incense. Ayatoya? Was it Ayatoya?
Nimitta?
No.
Oh, from the first selection.
Yeah, was it Ayatoya? Anyway.
Yeah, it was, yes. We did that Mora and Turkish leather, didn't we?
Yeah. And there's a bit of that amazing incense.
It's very sparkling suddenly, very silvery.
Amidst all that kind of dark, green, undergrowthy animalic, there's a sparkle of, I don't know if it's propped up with a bit of aldehyde or something. I sometimes get that with incense. I'm not sure. Maybe something just to help it along the way, but it's...
Oh, I do like that one. It's very evocative, isn't it?
And when you wear it, when I wore it, you just keep coming back to it and you keep smelling. If you're someone who wears fragrances for you, this is such a rewarding fragrance to wear. It lasted for ages. Like the first time I tried it, I put it on at 6 o'clock at night. I could smell it the next morning quite strongly, and you just keep finding more in it, more spice, more incense, these animalics purring away, greenness. There's
a lovely creamy tea thing going on as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's brilliant. I think that, again, Nocturnal Poetry, I would never say Pryn. I would never assume it was Pryn to smell it. This, I would again say, is Pryn.
Absolutely.
I don't mean that's not you, Pryn. You did make that. But in terms of recognising the DNA of someone,
yeah,
and that's important for me.
I really, this is wonderful.
There's a papyrusy thing I'm getting as well.
Definitely, there's a kind of dry, grassy.
Yeah.
There's just lots going on. It's such a perfume lover's perfume, yeah, to just delve in and. Oh.
And it feels wonderfully natural as well. It feels very natural. It feels very much like it's got that, it's got that very blended, good ingredients, no tricks.
Except for the magic.
I'm sure there are tricks going on, but
yeah, and at the end of the day, it just smells like Pryn. It smells like nobody else. No other perfume I know makes things which smell like this.
That's why we love Pryn.
Magic.
Individuality is absolutely key to this.
So this next one, Saringkarn, which is a taste of love and seduction, a tribute to an ancient Thai literary form. A taste of happiness.
This is a pretty ancient Thai as well, actually. Sorry, that was a terrible, awful joke.
Good.
I was having trouble with the knot earlier, so I was frustrated.
So this was, sorry, I forgot to mention that Homa, the one we just spoke about, is the most expensive.
Oh, is it?
$220.
Is that because of the goat hair, do you think?
Quite possibly.
Is that the thing?
So, this is cheaper, this is the cheapest, this is $140. So we're getting this kind of saffrony, amber, sticky, labdanum-y.
There's actually something in the middle of that I'm getting for the first time. Of a really rummy, like a dark rum lozenge or something.
Well, I got a slight relation to cigar rum. It doesn't smell exactly like it. I prefer this to cigar rum, I think. Rose as well in here. Lovely rose.
I think that's really good, actually. I prefer all of these actually. I'm preferring now on card the second time round. So obviously, I think these are going to be growers on me.
Yeah.
There's a halo around the outside of the immediate impact of the fragrance, and then there's like a core of something in the middle. There's a core of something quite meaty and quite boozy and quite dark and sticky.
Absolutely, dark, sticky.
I like that a lot.
Amber, yeah, beautiful,
That's
rich.
Very sensual again as well.
Yeah, I think it's the most obviously sexy. I mean, I think.
Sorry.
There's a lot of sexiness here. Yeah, Arsalan I think is incredibly sexy as well, but this is more obviously sexy. If you had to, I mean,
this is beautiful actually.
Yeah, I think there are more florals going on as well in the middle. A slightly kind of sweet floral mid.
Yeah, there's something a bit greener as well in the opening here. There's something quite bright, kind of poking its head out. Calpol.
That's sweet calpol. That's sweet calpol. Yeah.
It's really beautiful actually, isn't it? When you focus in on that. God.
It is beautiful. This may seem harsh, but you described this as an upmarket designer fragrance. Off camera, sorry.
Yeah. But that was my feeling. It felt like it had all the best qualities of a really good designer, but done with Prin level skill, approachability wise.
Yeah, it feels to me, and I'm making assumptions here, that in a collection which has got some quite bold, quite risky fragrances, this is the more conventional, oriental amber with some florals. And maybe also the price, reflects that. It's still expensive. It's $140 for 30ml extrait. I just felt when I wore it on skin, it just went to this really lovely saffron-y amber with some florals, which is really nice, but it just didn't. You can see that we're not wildly.
You know that formula already, don't you? You know that. And I have to say, I've actually given myself nose fatigue from this. Well, it may not be just from this alone, but I'm now not smelling it on the card.
Oh, really? Oh, I definitely can't
I think my nose has kind of zoned it out.
Oh, definitely. I got reasonable performance. The performance with this was not my issue. Just that I felt it went a little bit dull. But that's my taste, and that's because what I'm looking for in Prin's fragrances are really something I haven't smelt anywhere else. Yeah. And you look at Homa. I mean, smell that. I mean, nobody else in the world could have made that.
There's nothing like that.
Whereas Saringkarn is a really, really, really lovely amber.
I think it's a good, approachable thing that he should have in his collection.
Yeah, it's not a bad fragrance at all.
No.
I'm not saying that for a minute.
I have to say I prefer it to earlier on. Earlier on, I was a little bit like, okay, let's see what happens. But now I can't smell it.
The last of this little set, Eshu, mischievous god of Yombu legend. So here,
love that guy.
We go. So this one,
Eshu, that's an evocative name, isn't it?
It's another one. It's on the lower price bracket. So it's $140 for 30ml extra. So this is, you just get incense and pepper straight away.
Yeah.
This was so Prin Lomros is someone who's done several of the best incense fragrances I have ever smelt.
Yeah.
Manishtana.
Love that.
And what's the other one? Is it Mandarava?
Mandarava.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are jaw-droppingly stunning incense fragrances.
They are
you
wonderful.
know, really, if you have any interest in incense, you must try them, because I have not smelt better incense fragrances than those. And they are Pryn, being absolutely Pryn. This, for my taste, is not in the same league as those fragrances.
No, do you know, to me, it's really beautiful, but the proportions just feel slightly weird. Like this feels like a top note.
Yeah.
And just that. I mean, it feels like that bottle needs to go into a mix with some other things.
Yeah.
And it's not. I'm not a perfumer. I don't know anything. But it's like I'm getting a piano concerto with just the piano part, and I'm missing the orchestra underneath a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. It doesn't feel like a full. Yeah, a full fragrance.
It's like, or a bad singer. If you've ever heard a really bad singer, they'll just sing from the neck up.
Yeah.
And it's all throaty and it's all heady, and actually they're not using any of this stuff down here. And this feels like it's all a bit elevated to the point where I'm missing the bones.
And I felt the same.
Beautiful. I mean,
there's the same on skin. You have this lovely, bright, energetic incense, peppery opening, and I expected more. And there's a bit of a warm kind of woodiness.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I think, as we said before, if Geyser Schön had done it, I would have thought this is a very nice Geyser Schön fragrance. I mean, we're being critical about this fragrance because of the standards that we've come to expect from Pryn, and that we've smelt here earlier. I mean,
it's opening up a bit, but just.
Well, yeah, even on skin, it didn't light my fire. For someone who has done the best incense fragrances I have ever smelt, these are not them. This is not them.
I just feel like I want it to extend down and sort of unravel. It just feels a bit trapped and like, I'm an incense fragrance, I'm an incense fragrance, and it never holds its hands out and says, I'm here in all my opulent glory as an incense.
As Manishtana or Mandarava do. I mean, with Manishtana, you've got all that stewed fruit, and it's just so thick. And
kaleidoscopically wonderful.
Yeah. And Mandarava, you've got all those amazing white floral. I mean, it's supposed to smell like heaven, and it does smell like heaven.
It really
if you like incense, you have to check it out. So, these are the 5. I mean,
it's sort of in the squid ballpark as well, isn't it? With that.
Yeah.
It's like a friendly pink peppery incense.
Oh,
but I've smelled that before.
But smell Homa. That's
it's stunning. It's beautiful.
That is Pryn at his best. Oh.
I mean, I really think it's a great collection. I think we're tough because we know what he's capable of. Just that last one, perhaps.
Yeah.
I think that would be in. Under different circumstances, in the Strangers setup, as an incensey thing, it would make sense. Although it is the same sort of. No, it's not. It's double price, isn't it? That Strangers are. Yeah.
There are a couple of really great things here.
They really are.
Yeah, I just as we said at the start, Pryn is, he's obviously prolific. He's working hard. He's an incredibly creative guy. I wonder if maybe less is more in terms of output.
Yeah, I mean,
who are we to judge?
To have your own space and time to do your absolute finest. You can't take orders from anyone on that.
But Pryn's when Pryn is at his best, and I think a couple of these are close to his best.
Yeah.
You won't beat him. No. You won't beat him.
Try, but fail.
And it's always a huge pleasure to smell his fragrances. So, if you've these are quite new releases, but some of you may have smelt them. So if you have, let us know. Until next time.
Bye.
Happy sniffing.